everyone, welcome back to another video about a children's trading card game. We are going to be beginning my set review series. We're going to be talking about the starter decks in this video, and then over the next few of these I'm going to be reviewing each of these starter decks in these videos, and we're going to be beginning with ST01, the red starter deck. And personally, at the time of this recording, we have only got the full set list of these two, but we should be due the others very shortly. But I will say, I think Luffy compared to Kaido is significantly better, and apparently that's a really hot take, and that might make me a garbage player, but we'll explain my reasonings as we get through. So if that's going to wash you out and you're not going to give a shit what I have to say, it is what it is. Let's go ahead and get started, and we'll begin by talking about the leader, Monkey D. Luffy. So Straw Hat Crew and Captain traded. This is a red leader, so you only get access to red, 5 life and 5,000 power. Activate main once per turn. Give this leader or one of your characters one rested Don card. This is exceptionally powerful. Why is this powerful? Every single turn, no matter what you do, you are as long as you play a card from hand, you are getting value out of this ability. You are able to just buff up, if nothing else, Luffy. If nothing else, Luffy is just a permanent 6k, right? Why is that really good? Currently, most counters are 1,000 power. So that means if you're swinging in for 6k, you are either ripping one of the very few 2,000 power counters out of your opponent's hand, or you're ripping 2 cards out of your opponent's hand, or you're dealing a life. And there's only 5 life in this game, so that's kind of good. So that's a very, very compelling reason. But on top of that, I just realised this is way off here. Sorry about that. But in addition to that is the fact that this is very versatile. You can put this onto your characters as well. And sometimes when you really want to play something on curve, that matters. And we're going to see that as a running theme in a few of these cards, is to being able to play something like this ability literally affects the curve on which you play. So yeah, I think this is a phenomenally powerful leader. And I think he's being slept on because I wouldn't necessarily call Luffy a rush deck, but I would certainly call it an aggressive deck, and it's one where you really want to be making use of the fact that your leader ability is as good turn 1 as it is turn 10, and that means that your leader ability is better early on, because if it's not changing in power but everything else is getting bigger, this 1,000 power is going to matter a lot more when the numbers are smaller. So you're going to basically want to be very tempo oriented, playing stuff out as hard, as fast as you can. And with that in mind, let's continue going through. So next we've got Usopp here. Usopp is a 1,000 power counter, 2 cost 2,000. The trigger plays it, and Don 1, so that's basically free, right, with Luffy. When it attacks, your opponent cannot activate blockers of 5,000 or higher power characters during this battle. Now, there's a lot of problems with this card. I think that the first one is, though, for this to really be any use, you need to don it at least twice, probably 3 times. You need to don it twice if you're going to swing into something like attack your leader. A lot of the time, the stuff that's attacking into your leader is going to be bigger than 4k. But even when it isn't, you still have to don this guy twice for it to do anything. And then, you know, okay, well, you don it, fine, and your opponent cannot activate the blockers. Depending on how big blockers become in the format, that could be very good. But the fact that you essentially have to don this guy 3 times for you to even be able to hit a leader, and then it's like, okay, cool, I can't activate a blocker, but I'll just chuck a 1k out of my hand, basically means that I really don't think Usopp is very good. And as good as a trigger on play ability is, and you know, don't get me wrong, getting free cards is always nice, the card needs to actually do something, right? And this is aggressively not doing anything. So yeah, I don't think this is a very good card, and I think it'll be cut pretty much immediately. Caraway, this is a 1 cost 3,000 power with a counter 1,000. I think all these vanillas are going to be cut basically ASAP. So yeah, I'm not. It's a vanilla. Sanji, or Lanji, as is his proper term. My god, this card is absolutely cracked. So this is a 2-drop 4k power. Don 2, this character gains Rush. Now, in this deck, that's essentially Don 1. What does that mean? On your second turn, going first, you can slam this guy down, and he is swinging for 6k with Rush. That is so strong, guys. You need to be keeping your tempo up under this Luffy leader. And let me tell you, swinging in with a Luffy into 5k into your opponent, and then going, okay, now I'm going to slam down this Lanji and crash in with that for 6k is a lot of pressure. Yeah, okay, your opponent might kill the Sanji, but you don't care. You've either ripped cards from their hand, or you've dealt a bunch of damage, or a combination of the two, and your opponent, given that it's only their second turn, and there's probably not going to be a 2-drop that's seeing play that's going to be able to easily crash into Sanji, but even if there is, that's fine with that. You're winning on that tempo situation, and you can always protect the Sanji if you really want to keep him around, but he's good on the turn you play him, and then after that it's all just gravy. Yeah, I think Sanji is insanely good. Absolutely one of the best cards in the starter deck, and it's just going to see play absolutely everywhere. Next, we've got Jinbei. So this is a 3-cost 5,000 power unit. The 5,000 is really that minimum bar to actually be able to swing into leaders and stuff, so this is obviously very, very good. On attack, Don 1, your leader or one of your characters other than this card gain 1,000 power during this turn. That is a card that basically gets a hell of a lot better if your things are doing more than one attack a turn, because obviously that's going to be carrying over. How good is this? I think it's an okay card. It doesn't strike me as anything crazy, and certainly 1,000 power is not insane. It is a little slow, it's a Don when attacking, so you've kind of got this tax of 1 Don to just get this guy going, and, arguably, like, how good is that? Because, with Luffy, you can just put that Don on exactly where you need it, then you don't need to play Jinbei. So, I'm a little iffy on this card. I think if we get more multi-attacking cards, this is going to be a lot better, and this is potentially a sort of combo thing you might want to play, but obviously, combo is not exactly what this Luffy leader is incentivizing. So, I'm saying this is more of an average card. Tony Chopper, this is a 1-drop 1k blocker. Look, his job is to die, and he does that very well. Good card. Significantly better card is Nami. Oh my god, this card is ridiculous. Once per turn, give your leader or one of your characters 1 rested Don card. So the turn you play this, she pays for herself. And every turn after that, she's giving you advantage. The only way your opponent's ever going to deal with this card is if they hard remove it, because let's be real, you are absolutely never attacking with this. That means, like, this Nami card is so insane. Like, this is absolutely one of, if not the best cards in the starter. Like, it's either this or Sanji, and I'm leaning towards Nami, because this, like, Sanji, there are going to be some decks that don't really care about doing that damage early on. They're not really going to want to be dedicating all that to it, and if you're not playing the Luffy leader, like, Sanji gets worse, because then you get, like, okay, it's a later play. Nami is literally always insane. Like, this card is nuts to me. Like, unless you literally need your board presence so bad that you cannot afford to dedicate 1, potentially 2 spots to a Nami, and if you can't, I mean, like, she's a 1k counter, so you can still ditch her. Yeah, I've convinced myself. Nami is the best card in this starter. We got a vanilla here, 3-cost 5k Nico Robin, counter 1,000. You can see the only leg up this has over Jinbei is that counter, which makes sense because you're basically always discarding her because you never really want to be playing her. As with all vanillas, I think they will be cut. We'll say the same with this VV here. Yep, 2-cost 4k. It's a vanilla. It's going to get cut. And again, 4-cost 6k. This Frankie here, vanilla. It's going to get cut. On to Brook. So this is a 2-cost 2,000 power unit. On play, give your leader or one of your characters 2 rested Don cards. So this means that Brook is free. Brook essentially is going to come in. You're going to be able to distribute those 2 Dons as if you would just play them as Dons. And if you don't actually need that, because this ability isn't actually as insane as it seems, because a lot of the times you're happy to just pay that Don cost and just keep the card in your hand. Why? Because it's a 2k counter, and 2k counters at the moment are exceptionally rare. There are not that many of them. So the fact that this can potentially give you extra guarding value when your opponent might not necessarily play around that, and the fact that it's very efficient guard in hand means that I think this is absolutely definitively one of the better cards in the starter. Yeah, super likely to continue to see play, and obviously a generic ability to just distribute those Dons can really help your tempo moving forward when you actually need to develop a board. Potentially there's going to be decks in the future where you want to be sacking your units off. Brook is going to be really good in those kind of decks because you can just play him down like a turn before, get an advantage from him, and then maybe Don him up, swing him in, and then just sack him off because he's had all the use he needs. But yeah, I think Brook is pretty good, but mainly for that 2k counter. I think that's really what's selling me on him. Coming on to the SRs, and these are both insanely strong. With first, we have Monkey D. Luffy here, 5-cost 6,000 power unit. This character just comes in with Rush. And then Don 2, so essentially, if you play this when you have 6 mana in this deck, when attacking, your opponent cannot activate blockers. And let me tell you, if you're swinging in with an 8k to your opponent's leader and they cannot block, they are needing to drop 4k shield on that. That means they're basically playing a Borrow Breath or something similar, and from what we've seen from all the other decks, they're going to have a hell of a lot of Dons open available for that. So They're probably, probably not. Or they're going to have to drop their entire hand, or they're taking it. This is this again is an insane tempo tool. If you get this on turn 3, oh my god, your opponent is like shitting themselves. Because 6k power is like just going to be beefy to beat over. It's extremely efficient, it's extremely aggressive, and every single turn you can just don him up to just basically go, nope, your blockers are not doing anything. Yeah, super powerful card. I think absolutely another one of the best cards in the starter, and again very generic. Because if nothing else, it's just a 5-drop 6k rusher. That's not bad at all. Speaking of another absolutely generic, very powerful card, we got Zoro here. This is a 3-drop 5k power, so we can see that is on curve there. But Don 1, this character gains 1000 power. So if you slap a Don on him, he's 7k. That is hench, guys. Very large. Very annoying, and it clears most things in the game. So this is going to be something your opponent's going to be wary of blocking, because they're going to lose their blocker, or they're going to have to defend their blocker. And this is hitting over basically all the blockers in the game, including Kid. And if you chuck an extra Don on him, he's 8k. So hench, so difficult to deal with. Yeah, just scales very nicely. I'm a big fan of the Zoro, and it's a very generic tool. You can just chuck it in. It's going to be good. Yeah, big fan of this card. Moving on to the events, we got Guard Point here. So this is a 1-drop counter to give your leader or characters 3k, and a trigger effect to one of your leaders or characters gains 1000 power during this turn. Do not sleep on that trigger effect. If your leader gets set to 6k on like the first attack of the turn, that can completely screw up your opponent's entire turn. Worth saying, you will not add this to hand, it gets pitched to use that effect. But a counter to gain 3k is absolutely not bad. The biggest issue with this card is the fact that it really costs mana at all. Luffy is a deck that wants to be very aggressive, and that can mean that this is very difficult to use during the early game. You want to be constantly tapping out, making sure you've built a board presence. I suppose it is an aggro deck. I don't know why I said it's more a tempo deck. It's definitely an aggro deck. It's definitely a rushy deck. And yeah, Guard Point doesn't super synergize with that. So there could be conflicts there. Gonna have to do more testing. But as a generic tool, very nice card. Very nice. Speaking of other insane tools, Jet Pistol, this card is ridiculous. 4-drop, KO one of your opponent's characters with a power of 6000 or less. So obviously on your turn, that means none of the dons are affecting it. Worth pointing out, on the opponent's turn, their dons will affect how this card can, whether this card can be used. So if your opponent's smart and they're buffing everything up to 7k, this does nothing. But on your turn, this card is extremely strong, and if your opponent does not play around it, or is not able to play around it, because they're not always going to be able to, this is very good. You're just going to be sitting there going, haha, get fucked. This boy's big. Yeah, very powerful removal tool for red here, and I'm a massive fan. Finally, we've got Diablo Jumble. I saw a lot of people talking shit about this card. So this is a 1-cost, which says choose one of your leader or characters with the Straw Hat Crew trait. During this turn, your opponent cannot activate blocker when that leader or character attacks. And as the trigger effect, KO one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 3 or less with blocker. So that trigger effect is always less good. It is optional, of course, you can just add this to hand. Because we don't know how many of these cheap blockers we're going to be seeing. My impression from the card pool that we've seen so far is it seems like the blockers are generally quite big, so that effect might not be so good. But again, we're gonna see from there. This is a card that's going to be so strong in a blocker heavy meta, transforming your leader attack into be unblocked, transforming, you save 2 of these for a kill turn, suddenly you've got 4 massive attacks going into your opponent, and they're like, well, I do not have the hand for this, I might just die. Super strong. But obviously if your opponent is not playing blockers, this card is totally dead. Not really any very good discard outlets in this, and every card matters in this game, so in those matchups this is really going to suck. It is going to depend on the meta, but in a meta with a lot of blockers, this guy is going to be really strong. And finally, Thousand Sunny, activate main, you may rest this stage, and one of your Straw Hat Crew type leader or character cards on your field gains 1000 power during this turn. Again, this is going to be better as Jinbei if we get cards that restand that do multiple attacks, but personally I'm not really a fan of this. I think as a 2-drop, for 1k power, yes, I understand it's every single turn, but Nami is every single turn, and also a thing on board. I don't know. I think the problem is I'm comparing this to Onigashima, which is such an amazing field, and this isn't. I feel like as well, because it's restricted to Straw Hat Crew, it's not even generic. I feel like we'll just get a better version, but I could be wrong about that. And overall, I'm not super hot on this card. But there we go. That's my review of this starter deck. I think, all things considered, it's really pretty good. You are going to need 2 copies because it doesn't come with 4 of everything, and especially it doesn't come with 4 of a lot of the better cards. So obviously go out there to your super pre-releases or obviously main release and make sure you're getting 2 copies, and that's going to be true for all the starters. You're just going to have to take that L. As with most trading card games, they like to ring you on the starter decks, but there we go. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Have I completely misrated a lot of these cards? Let me know what you think. Like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel for more One Piece content, join my Discord server, linked in the description, and I will see you guys in the next video. Cheers.